Hi again, everyone. Gary Digital Williams here on Beltway Boxing News and Notes on the Boxing on Beltway Podcast Network. The Boxing on Beltway Podcast Network can be heard on Spreaker.com, iHeartRadio.com, TuneIn, and on Stitcher.com. And so if you want to subscribe to hear some of these great podcasts, and we have a special announcement about this upcoming podcast, this podcast today, you can download the app. Actually, you can't download the app, but you can actually go and subscribe to the pages I just mentioned. Once again, that's Spreaker.com, Stitcher.com, iHeartRadio.com, and on TuneIn. And I believe we're on YouTube at times as well. So please subscribe and support what we do here for Boxing on the Beltway. Boxing on the Beltway Podcast Network brings you Beltway Boxing News and Notes, and is also brought to you by Real-Time Pain Relief. From boxers to ballerinas, for shoulder pain and muscle strain, and everything between, Boxing Along the Beltway recommends Real-Time Pain Relief, the natural, plant-based, safe, fast, and effective ointment. You go to freepainoffer.com, buy $10 worth of Real-Time Pain Relief, you get a free $10 tube of Real-Time Pain Relief. Rub it on, the pain is gone in real time. And by DeborahSpears.com. You see on my blog, she has that great book. She has about expert secrets of weight loss without dieting, eating real food along the way. She's really promoting that. So support Deborah Spears, the wife of my great broadcast partner, the fight Dr. Jerome Spears. And also she has great jewelry that she sells on her site. That's Deborah, Debra Spears.com. Well, this is a pretty special podcast because I really didn't know it until I got ready to put this show on the air. And when I got ready to put the description of the podcast on the air, it said episode 500. It's the 500th episode of the Boxing on Beltway podcast. We've been around since 2012. And once again, we thank you all for your support, and we thank you for your comments and all the great things that I've tried to do with this podcast, and also my partner Juan Marshall. We do our live broadcasts throughout the years, and we thank you for your support on that. Hope you continue to support us in the future. Now, we have a lot to get to today, though, so I don't want to spend a whole lot of time talking about how great this is, because it is fantastic. It really is. That's just a lot for us, and I do appreciate that. We had a lot to get to today. We're going to recap this past weekend. We had of course the big card at the Entertainment Sports Arena in DC. Talk a little bit about that because you can hear our post-fight wrap-up show. I do want to apologize, however, about that broadcast, because somehow part of the broadcast got cut, and I don't know why it happened. Spreaker has not explained it to me, but the first three bouts of the card got cut. So we got everything from Antonio Magruder's bout on the podcast, but everything was going well on our end. I don't know what happened. I mean, again, if it is because of the music that's being played, once again, neither Juan Marshall nor myself, and I guess I got to start making a disclaimer about this when we do live shows, but neither Juan Marshall or myself have any connection or have any way of controlling the music that's being played. That's played by the promoter, that's played by the DJ, and they just play it. I mean, we have no control over it. So if YouTube's muting or cutting our shows, or Spreaker's cutting our shows because of copywritten music, that's not our fault. And, I just have a tough time with that. But hopefully that was not the case. I don't know, maybe been a technical error on their part. I don't know. But be that as it may, that's where it stands. We're going to talk about the card a little bit in DC. Not a whole lot, but we're going to talk about a little bit about that. We're going to really focus on the title defense for Jarrett Hurd, who successfully defended his 3 world titles in Los Angeles last Saturday. And we'll give you a full preview of the card coming up this Saturday at the A.C. Jordan Arena on the campus of Bowie State University in Bowie, Maryland. So we'll talk more about that as well. Talk about another bout that's coming up on this weekend as well. And then I have to give, and wouldn't be me if I didn't, but I have to give truly one of the toughest tributes that I've ever had to give in my entire life on this podcast, because it is a very personal tribute to me, and it has shocked the entire metropolitan area, and I want to talk about it here on the podcast. If you don't mind, I appreciate it. Thank you. Okay, let's get started with, first of all, in Los Angeles. the Staples Center, Los Angeles, California. Swift Jarrett Hurd successfully defended his IBF, WBA, and IBO championships, 154-pound championships. Scored a fourth-round TKO over former British middleweight champion Jason Wellborn. That was at Staples Center in Los Angeles, California, back on December the 1st. Now, Wellborn actually came out firing. He was trying to work Hurd against the ropes, and I had a chance. I didn't see it about live because I was at the show in DC, but seeing video on this, Hurd was really getting worked against the ropes. It looked like he was almost trying to do kind of sort of a rope-a-dope. I don't know if he got that far, but he was trying to counter Wellborn and waiting to land key shots. And Wellborn was really came in here nothing to lose. He lost weight for the bout, and he had really had nothing to lose. He was the underdog by any means necessary. And Jarrett Hurd, for the first time, was truly the hunted instead of being the hunter. And he and I talked about that over this past week. But anyway, be that as it may, in the fourth round, Wellborn stepped up his attack. He landed punches through Hurd's guard. He forced the champion to hold on for a little bit. So that was a big move in the favor of Jason Wellborn. But all it took, and this is what champions do, folks. This is what champions do. They capitalize on any little mistake that a challenger will make. And that's what happened. Wellborn made one mistake, and Hurd capitalized on it. He missed a punch. Hurd countered with a right uppercut to Wellborn's sternum and put Wellborn down, and he could not beat the count. Very similar to the punch he landed against George Armenta, which was a knockout of the year winner in the Beltway. It's very similar to, I think it was similar to the punch that he landed against Tony Harrison to win the title. It was a crushing blow, no question about that. And the bout ended up being stopped at 155 of the fourth round. It was another solid performance for Jarrett Hurd. You just have to marvel at what he's done. I mean, and again, Juan March and I have watched him literally from the very beginning, from the amateurs all the way up to this point, and to see his progression, fight in and fight out, it's phenomenal. It really is. It's phenomenal. He does not make mistakes. He has not made mistakes. Let me say that he has not made mistakes so far. And the bouts again, he didn't even go into the second half of the fight to wear down Wellborn. In fact, he really didn't wear down Wellborn this time around. He got a good shot in. And for champions especially, that's all it takes. Really, that's all it takes. And that was it. So Jarrett Hurd now 23-0, 16 KOs. Wellborn falls to 24-7, 7 KOs. So it was really a great performance for Jarrett Hurd, and depending what Charlo does, Jamal Charlo does. I guess it's Jamal Charlo. I never can get the Charlo straight. But anyway, whoever faces Tony Harrison next week, the 22nd, has to look at Jarrett Hurd. That's a fight that's got to be made sometime in 2019. And I got to say, now I'm not saying it because I cover the Beltway, but right now, I cannot see Charlo beating Hurd at all. I really can't. I cannot see Charlo beating Hurd. Hurd is just on the top of his game, and I think he's maybe a step away from being the first Beltway boxer since Mark Too Sharp Johnson to be listed in the pound-for-pound rankings from the Beltway. So, in the international pound-for-pound rankings. So, hopefully that'll be the case. We'll see what happens. So that's a great one here. And, of course, the card Saturday at the Entertainment Sports Arena, first of all, and again, this is my third, and I actually have two more appearances at the entertainment appearances. I hate to say that, but two more opportunities to go to the Entertainment Sports Arena, including one this evening as I record this. And I got to talk about the other one in a second. But be that as it may, it's a great facility. And this is the first time, of course, boxing has been there. And the Entertainment Sports Arena is absolutely perfect for boxing. Every seat's a great seat, just like it is throughout the rest of the events they've had thus far. And it's a great venue, and it looked good. It really does. And once TV comes in, it's going to look good on TV. There's no question about that. So it was a great. In fact, TV's been there because it was there for an MMA show earlier this year. So it's a great performance. Now, as far as the card was concerned, it was a good card. Sam Crosset, for example, got a gift. No question about that. Tori Nelson looked very, very good in her bout against Sanaa Turner. I mean, Turner was very tough, but she just took a lot of punishment. I mean, she had welts on both sides of her face. Nelson was in no danger of knocking Turner down, but she just pummeled him for 10 rounds. Basically, that's what happened. Again, getting back to Sam Crosset, again, I think he got a gift. I really do. The fans did not like that call there. So it was a tough loss there. And you can read about the rest of the card on boxonbeltway.blogspot.com and also proamfighttalk.com as well. .blogspot.com as well. So, but it was a good card and a good way to start the Dynamic December of Beltway boxing, which continues this week. And it continues with a card, actually, a card out of town, a card in town. Card out of town is going to be at the 2300 Arena in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. And I believe this is a King's Promotions card. And if it is, I believe the show will be aired live on Facebook. This will be at the 2300 Arena in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. One of the boxers on the card will be Baltimore, Maryland light heavyweight Travis Holy Toledo, who's had a good rookie season. He returns quickly to action in this card. He'll take on Ronnie Lawrence of Pottstown, Pennsylvania. That bout is scheduled for 4 rounds. Toledo just fought on November 16th, won a 4-round majority decision over Kendall, Canada in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. Toledo's 3-0 with 2 knockouts. Lawrence is 0-2. He'll fight for the first time since April of 2012. He lost the second of 2 bouts against Todd Unthanked May by first-round knockout in Atlantic City. So, very tough. I mean, I don't know how you walk into a situation after almost 6-year absence, actually more than 6-year absence, and face a guy with the potential caliber of Travis Holy Toledo. I don't see that. So we'll see what happens there. That'll be Friday, December 7th at the 2300 Arena in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Now let's turn our attention to Saturday, December 8th. This will be the Shabazz Brothers card at the A.C. Jordan Arena on the campus of Bowie State University in Bowie, Maryland. We have the whole card for you here today. So let's go over that. The main event on the card is a bout that'll be for the WBC USNBC Super Middleweight Championship. The champion is Damon, the best at it, Nicholson, out of Laurel, Maryland. He'll look to make the first successful defense of that title. He'll take on Fernando El Huracan Castaneda. He's from Aguas Calientes, Mexico. That bout is scheduled for 10 rounds. Nicholson, who's 19-3-1, 18 KOs. He won that title in his last outing, scoring a 6-round knockout over Isaac Rodriguez on August 18th. That was at Live Casino in Hanover, Maryland. And I got to tell you, that was a great performance for Damon Nicholson. It really was. He was on the top of his game. Rodriguez tried to challenge, and Nicholson stepped up a notch. No question about that. So that was a great performance. And I got to say something a little bit about Nicholson's manager, who recently retired as a professional boxer. His name is Thomas Top Dog Williams Jr. And I'll talk more about this and hope to put it on the blog sometime in the next couple of days. But Thomas Williams had a good, and I would say a better than average career as a pro. He got to a point, but couldn't get any further. He was definitely one of the more exciting boxers that you will see. In 2012, we named him Prospect of the Year in the Beltway. And he got a title shot, and he lost to Adonis Stevenson. By the way, we have to send our prayers and our best wishes to Adonis Superman Stevenson. You know, he lost his light heavyweight title, but he almost lost more than that. I mean, he has been, I think he's just out of a coma. He has brain damage, and last I heard, he's on a respirator, and that gives you an idea how tough this business is. And it's a business. I sometimes hesitate to call it a sport. I think it's a lot worse than that, and it gets devastating sometimes. And all boxers know that can happen, and to one that's so talented as Adonis Stevenson, that was tough. But Thomas Williams, as a manager, I think will do great things, and he's working with Damon Nicholson and a couple other boxers. So we'll see what happens. Now, meanwhile, Castaneda is 26-12, 17 KOs, riding a 2-bout winning streak. He has back-to-back TKOs. And his last outing back on September 22nd, Castaneda knocked out Alberto Perez in the first round in Petare, Venezuela. Now, we talked about the co-feature throughout the last few weeks, and that's the promising Beltway super lightweight matchup between undefeated Bowie resident and Bowie State graduate Greg Sharpshooter Outlaw. He's going to battle Baltimore, Maryland's Mac Pappy Allison IV. That battle is scheduled for 6 rounds. Now, Outlaw, 6-0, 2 KOs, won his bout on the last Shabazz Brothers card at Bowie State back on September 22nd. Won a 6-round unanimous decision over Rashad Boger. He looked pretty good in that bout, no question about that. Meanwhile, Allison's 8-1-1, 7 KOs. I think Outlaw, 6-0, 2 KOs. Allison's 8-1-1, 7 KOs. He last fought on August 4th at the Michael & Son Sportsplex in Sterling, Virginia. Won a 6-round unanimous decision over Rynell Griffin. So that one should be a very interesting bout. Again, I'm not for Beltway battles with nothing on the line and early in their careers. But I think this one has a little bit of spice to it. So that could be very interesting to see what happens. So that's a Greg Sharpshooter Outlaw taking on Mac Pappy Allison IV. The card will also mark the pro debut of truly one of the most celebrated Beltway amateurs in recent memory. And that's Baltimore middleweight Lorenzo, we can use his nickname now, Lorenzo Truck Simpson. Of course, Simpson, as you know by now, we've been following all throughout his career here on Boxing on the Beltway and on the blog as well. 6-time national silver gloves champion in 6 different weight divisions. He's only 18 years old, and he also medaled in international and national competitions, winning a silver medal at the recent Youth Continental Championships and also silver medal at the Brandenburg Cup in Germany. So I've said this since the moment I even considered that Simpson might turn pro. When Lorenzo Simpson turns pro, the boxing world better watch out. I think he's got the goods. I really do. I watched him numerous times as an amateur. I've watched him when he was strictly the best boxer on that particular card by far. And I really see him doing great things as a pro. No question about that. I really do. So we'll see what happens. Simpson's opponent in this 4-round contest will be DeAndre West. He's out of Danville, Virginia. He's 0-2. And West was knocked out in his last outing by Justin Bell. That was in the second round on October 27th at Rosecroft Raceway over in Fort Washington, Maryland. So Lorenzo Simpson making his pro debut on this card. And that's going to be very interesting to see what's happening there. Other bouts on the card. Undefeated Forestville, Maryland super lightweight Michael the Professor Fox will be in a 6-round contest against Gonzalo Carlos El Malo Daliera of Ciudad de la Buenos Aires, Argentina. Now, Fox, who's 18-0, 4 KOs, he comes off that 10-round unanimous decision win over former world champion DeMarcus Chop Chop Corley. That was on the August 18th card at Live Casino in Hanover, Maryland. Deletta is 5-0, 4 KO. But this is weird, this situation. Now, Deletta has scored first-round knockouts in his last 2 bouts. That's fine. But Deletta has never, up until this bout coming up against Michael Fox, he is yet to face a boxer who has won a pro contest at all. Every boxer he has faced on Dalleta's record has either been winless going in or making his pro debut. So that's going to be very strange. And he's going up against a guy who's 18-0. Not just 1-0, not just 2-0. He is 18-0 for KOs. Now, granted, he doesn't have a lot of KOs. Michael Fox doesn't have a lot of KOs. But he's 18-0. And Deletta's facing a guy coming off of the fact that he's never faced a boxer who's won a pro contest. He's also going to fight in the United States for the very first time after fighting all of his bouts in his native Argentina. So that is a 6-round bout. Michael Professor Fox taking on Gonzalo Carlos Dayera. That's a bout on the card. Also, Bladensburg, Maryland featherweight, the Dark Menace Tierra Brown. She'll face veteran and former world champion. This will be the toughest, I think on paper, the toughest bout Tierra Brown has had, but also the most experienced boxer she will face, which takes on Diana Santana, and she's from Santo Domingo, Dominican Republic. Now, Brown comes off a nice stoppage of Jasmine Clark on the 4th round on the last Shabazz Brothers card back on September 22nd at Bowie State. And she is 6-0 with 2 KOs. Santana is 36-10 with 15 KOs. And she'll be, again, the most experienced boxer Brown has faced. But she has won both in IBF and a WBA World Featherweight Championship. Meanwhile, Santana has also lost 2 of her last 3 bouts, including a 10-round unanimous decision loss to Ocean Dariu, but that was for the WBF featherweight title back on November 10th in Hénin, Beaumont, France. So that's going to be an interesting one. 6-round bout. Tierra Brown taking on Diana Santana. Now, a guy that needs a win badly. Bowie cruiserweight, Luther Lights Out Smith. He'll be in a 6-round bout against Joshua Temple of St. Louis, Missouri. Smith is 10-4, 9 KOs, but he's lost 2 straight and 3 of his last 4. He comes off a first-round knockout loss to Alexei Egorov back on June 2nd in Atlantic City, New Jersey. Temple is 7-1, 6 KOs, again out of St. Louis, Missouri. He'll try to bounce back from his first pro loss, which was a 6-round split decision defeat to Kitag Pliev on October 6th, and that was in Louisville, Kentucky. So that's a 6-round bout. Luther Smith taking on Joshua Temple. Baltimore heavyweight Hasim Gold-Blooded Rockman Jr. He competes in a 4-round bout against veteran Damian Reed of Danville, Virginia. Rockman 6-0, 4 KOs. Now, he went to the 6-rounders for the first time in his career, and he defeated Raymond Ocean by unanimous decision on August 17th in Hinckley, Minnesota. Reed is 3-19-1. He'll look to break a 5-bout losing streak. He'll be facing a Beltway boxer for the second straight time as he lost by second round knockout to George Harris back on October 27th at Rosecroft Raceway. So that's a 4-round bout. Hasim Rockman battling Damian Reed. Another all-Beltway bout. We talked a little bit about this going into this bout. And again, I don't understand why this bout's taking place. But be that as it may. Clarksburg, Maryland middleweight Mark Salas Duncan battles Ashton the Goon Sykes of Hanover, Maryland. That's a bout scheduled for 4 rounds. Duncan made a successful pro debut on September 22nd at Bowie State University, scoring a 2nd-round TKO over Jamel Christmas. Sykes is 2-2, coming off that tough 6-round loss to Donald Wallace on August 18th in Hanover, Maryland at Live Casino. A great bout. Right now, the clubhouse leader for Beltway Bout of the Year. So, again, I have a problem with this bout because I think it's just too early. And, again, nothing's on the line. But, again, I think more importantly, I think it's too early for both of them. So, we'll see what happens. It might be a decent bout. Now, a couple out-of-town boxers on this card. One guy's been here a number of times, but the other guy is Keith the Bounty Hunter. He's undefeated welterweight from Las Vegas, Nevada. He'll be in a 6-round bout against Siddharth Ravinda Varma. He's from Pune, India. Hunter is 8-0, 6 KO, coming off a 4-round unanimous decision win over Matt Murphy, that tough guy who's fought so many times. Matt Murphy, that was on September 8th, including last week, as a matter of fact, in D.C. Matt Murphy lost to Hunter on September 8th in Lawrence, Kansas. Varma is 4-2-1, 1 KO. He lost by 4th-round knockout to Damian Lopez on October 18th in Los Angeles, California. So that's an interesting bout there. 4-round bout, Keith Hunter against Siddharth Varma. And Brooklyn, New York middleweight Omar Kabari Salim will be in a 6-round bout against Jonathan Garcia of Aguada, Puerto Rico. Now, Salim last fought on November 16th on Atlantic City, New Jersey, scored a 4th-round TKO over Alberto Delgado, but he has been to the Beltway a number of times now and fought very well every time he's been here. Meanwhile, Garcia is winless in his last 11 bouts, including a 6-round unanimous decision loss to Curtis Colvin on September 29th in Houston, Texas. So that is the card for Saturday, December 8th, and that'll be at the A.C. Jordan Arena on the campus of Bowie State University, Shabazz Brothers card. Now, normally we would have blow-by-blow coverage of this card. However, I cannot do that this week, and here's why. And I mentioned it earlier. I kind of mentioned it earlier, but I got to mention it again. The Washington Wizards G League franchise, which is called the Capital City Go-Go, I've been auditioning for their public address announcing gig. And they've given me 2 auditions already, but they gave me 2 more games this week, including one tonight and then another one on Saturday. And it starts at 7 p.m. So I will unfortunately not be able to make the card on Saturday. Juan Marshall will have all the coverage. He'll be blogging throughout the night, proamfighttalk.blogspot.com. And he'll have all the coverage for you, but unfortunately, I cannot make the card tonight. I'm in one way I'm sad about it because I think it's going to be a really solid card, but I can't overlook this opportunity, and I really do beg your indulgence on it. But the go is one step before the pros, in all honesty, and that's one of my dreams as well. So I will not be there, unfortunately, and unless I'm there late, unless the game, goes very, very quickly, I may turn up there late. I don't know, but we will not do a broadcast. That's definite. We will not do a broadcast then. So that's tough. Now coming up this next week, of course, next Saturday, I will be, barring any other last minute changes, I will be at Tyson's Playground in Vienna, Virginia for the TAC Promotions card. That's on Saturday, December 15th in Vienna. Again, we don't have a lot of updates on that card, so hopefully within the next few days we'll give an update on that card. Also, Saturday, December 15th at Madison Square Garden in New York City, Lamont Roach Jr., Upper Marlboro Super Featherweight, puts his WBO International Super Featherweight title on the line against Alberto Transform Mercado of Humacao, Puerto Rico, by way of Hartford, Connecticut. Roach is 17-0-1, 7 KOs, won the WBO International title, 6-round stoppers of David Julio Baza. And Mercado's 15-1-1, 3 KOs. And then 1 week, about 2 weeks from there, Saturday, December 22nd, Brandon Bulldog Quarles, who's 20 wins, 4 losses, 1 draw, 10 KOs, takes on Todd Manuel of Rayne, Louisiana, in an 8-round bout. And also the Russell brothers, Antoine and Antonio, will be on that card as well from Barclays Center in Brooklyn, New York. So that's what we have so far, leading up to Year in Review Awards coming up in the next few weeks. Now, I really don't know how to start this, to be perfectly honest with you. This week, I should say, it happened this week. We lost a true icon in this city. And a guy that I was privileged to call friend for more than 25 years. We worked together. We helped each other out. We supported each other. And it was a sudden passing that took place earlier this week. I think he passed on Sunday, but they found him on Monday. But I don't know. We'll see what happens. Those of you in the D.C. area especially probably know the name Shelley Bowers Jr. For those who don't know, people call me the voice of Coppin State. They even call me the voice of professional boxing here in the Beltway. But for Shelley, he was the voice of pretty much every other DC sport that could take place in the city. He passed away this week. Let me show my personal reflection on this. I first met Shelley Bowers through a mutual friend of ours, Joe Ankrum. Now, Joe and I went to Howard University together. And Joe and Shelley were taking courses at DCTV, which is still the public access channel in the District of Columbia. And Shelley came up with this idea. Now, Shelley, like me, is a native Washingtonian, but he was Washington to the core. I mean, he went to public school in the city, went to Wilson High School. He went down to Grambling for undergrad, but he was so DC, they called him DC Shell back then. Even then. And Shelley was, like me, Shelley started on the student radio station at Grambling. They started on their student radio station. I got my start on the student station at Howard, WHBC. And he went on to do some public address announcements. In 1987, the legendary Grambling football coach Eddie Robinson asked Shelley to be the PA announcer for Grambling football. And that included working the legendary and the granddaddy of all HBCU classics, the Bayou Classic at the Superdome, with Grambling taking on Southern. So when he got back to D.C., he came up with a vision, and this is where I got into it a little bit. And he told Joe Ankrum about this vision. He knew from being an athlete in D.C. public schools that DC public schools got very little, if any, coverage in the media. Kind of like boxing, in all honesty. And he wanted to change that. So what he did was, he was working at DC TV, and he started to form a vision to show weekly DC public schools. You'd be called the Inner High back in those days. Now the DCIAA, the Columbia Interscholastic Athletic Association. And he would show, tape delay, not live, but tape delay, high school football games in DC public schools. And we would just choose a week and so forth. And Joe, knowing that I kind of wanted to do a similar situation, although I was involved, I wanted to get involved in sportscasting, and Joe knew that. He introduced me to Shelly. And Shelly and I hit it off pretty much right away. No question about that. Although I was a little skeptical about the idea that he had, because I knew because my dad was in public schools, and I kind of knew the pitfalls that he could fall. But Shelly didn't let it deter him. And we started putting on DC public school inner high football through his company, Shell Shock Productions. And the response was just unbelievable. The city loved it. And plus, we gave him first class commentary. Shelly would do play-by-play. Joe and I would do the color. We also had help from a guy by the name of Eddie Martin, who is now the mayor of a town in Maryland called District Heights, Maryland. But we would give us they would give first class commentary to the games. And it went from football to basketball. Joe would pick up the basketball coverage, and I did play-by-play on that. And between the football and basketball, I was having a major time, great time doing those games. We saw some first-class basketball and football throughout those time periods. It was a great time for basketball, especially basketball. Dunbar and Coolidge, Anacostia, and Easton. These are great high schools in that time. Phelps had a great team. And in football, it was H.D. Woodson, it was Ballou, it was Coolidge. Dunbar was just starting to get their teams going. And it was a great time. And again, the coverage that we got. I mean, as far as the response, and the newspapers picked it up and really understood what we were trying to do. And Shelly was the main person behind that. And it was phenomenal. It really was. So we did that for about 4 or 5 years. Now, meanwhile, I was also doing public address announcing for Howard University. I was doing basketball, women's basketball, then I did the men's basketball games and the football games, and I was also doing track and field and soccer and just about anything else they wanted me to do. And a couple things happened there. One, I started to get a little frustrated because I wasn't getting paid at that time. And I got an offer to do PA announcements. I got 2 offers. Number one. First offer was to actually do TV for Howard University for the group, the Broadcast Factor. I've mentioned them many times on this podcast, who were students who were doing play-by-play games, doing games of football at Howard. So they were high school students at the time. And I was able to do that along with George Johnson, Gus Johnson, Rick Doc Walker. And we had a ball doing that. We really did. So in 1992, I moved on to that, and which left the void as a PA announcer for Howard. And I suggested to Shelly that he should take that job. Well, one thing led to another, and he got the job. And he elevated the job. I moved on to Coppin State, what I was doing, what I could do there. But he elevated the Howard position of PA. He connected with the fans. People loved it when he said, it'll be first and 10. The fans would go, bye, son. I mean, first he was just saying it himself, and then the fans got into it. and it became a wonderful tribute. So we had that in common. And we were part of I would say, an unofficial coalition. In fact, I'm still part of it, but again, with Shelley passing, it leaves a void for us. But there's an unofficial coalition in the area of African-American PA announcers. And we're unofficial because we're not really connected. We're connected to each other in some way. And the big way we're connected to each other is that we kind of look out for each other when opportunities come. So if one person can't do it, then another person. We call another person in the coalition, find out. And the coalition is being very successful. I mean, we have two guys doing pro basketball right now. Ralph Wesley is with the Washington Wizards, and Sean Parker is now with the Minnesota Timberwolves. So they're doing pro games, and I'm getting a little bit of an opportunity to do some G League games. That's the next level down. And we have guys like Discombobby Jones, who had got his big break on Showtime a couple weeks ago, and young guys like Tony, Charles Lowe, I think it's Tony Smith, also Jesse Benton. So we have a bunch of guys that we just kind of call, if you can't do it, maybe you can do it, something like that. And we all do fantastic work. We really do. So Shelley was a huge part of that, because Shelley would call me and say, hey, I can't do this game. Can you do it for me? And actually, a couple weeks ago, last time I talked to him, he was heading to the Bayou Classic in Louisiana. And that was the last time I had a chance to talk to him. And what happened was, on Sunday, he didn't show up again. He was not only working at Howell, he also did work at Georgetown. He did all the high school games. He did baseball at National Park, high school baseball, where they had a big classic there. He was doing a little bit of everything. And when he didn't show up at his Georgetown Hoya assignment, that's when we found out something was wrong. And that's when we found him. His brother David found him, passed away. But he was a tremendous person. I mean, I'm looking at the tributes to him on his Facebook page. He touched so many lives. He like me, was also in education. He taught at a number of schools in the city, and his students, his former students, speak so highly of him, and his coworkers speak so highly of him. His colleagues, like myself, we speak so highly of him. He used to work at a couple of radio stations here in the city, and I worked with him. In fact, we co-hosted a show called Overtime with the Sports Nuts on WL, and it was myself, Peach Jackson, and Shelley, and we had a great time on Sunday nights. And Joe Madison wanted us to do the show. That was the great thing. So it was a really, really, it's been a very tough week because of his passing. And everything I do from here on out, as far as PA announcing, will have Shelley Bowers Jr. in mind. I'm going to miss him. He was a brother. And I'm just going to miss him. And I think this whole DC community will miss Shelley Bowers Jr. That'll be a tough one. No question about that. So I hate to end the 500th podcast on a sad note, but again, I had to get that out because he was a good guy. He really was a good guy. And that will do it for another edition of Beltway Boxing News and Notes. Remember, the Boxing on the Beltway Podcast Network brings you Beltway Boxing News and Notes, and is also brought to you by Real Time Pain Relief. You go to freepainoffer.com. Buy $10 worth of Real Time Pain Relief, you get a free $10 tube of Real Time Pain Relief. Rub it on. The pain is gone in real time. And by DeborahSpears.com with great weight loss tips as well as great jewelry on Deborah, Debra Spears.com. I'm Gary Digital Williams. Thank you so much for joining me. Thank you so much for indulging me on that tribute to Shelley. And we look forward to talking to you next week. And again, we will not have coverage of the December 8th card. Thanks for joining me. And always remember, keep supporting the best boxing in the world, the boxing along the Beltway. Thanks for listening. Take care.